translators are gone, and the live stream is waning, which means that if we just listen to my colleague Matthias, the best thing in the world would be to leave it to you, the people. Now it's up to you to share what clearly, based on the cavernous emptiness we see in all of these spaces, is only going to be heard if you share it. So it feels very appropriate that I should be the one with the quietest voice. But let's let that lion roar, shall we? I'm done talking about COVID, and I'm done talking about SARS-CoV-2, and I'm done for a very simple reason. For 110 years, we, the people of the world, have been lied to. We're a group, a very small number of criminal, industrial conspirators decided to subordinate the entirety of the human population for the purpose of their sinister plans to enrich themselves while impoverishing and killing the rest of humanity. And I'm done being polite. We've long passed polite. When the words acceptable death rate become part of an industrial norm, well, the translators are gone, and the live stream is waning, which means that if we just listen to my colleague Matthias, the best thing in the world would be to leave it to you, the people. Now it's up to you to share what clearly, based on the cavernous emptiness we see in all of these spaces, is only going to be heard if you share it. So it feels very appropriate that I should be the one with the quietest voice. But let's let that lion roar.
CanadaStreetNews.com, and this is dedicated to the Jesuits, the High Freemasons, and the High Knights of Columbus, and those that have pledged a blood oath allegiance to the Luciferians, the secret societies. The Secret Covenant. An illusion it will be, so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. We will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us. We will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be to accomplish one drop at a time so as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. experience, for we know the secrets of the Absolute. Their experience, for we know the secrets of the Absolute. We will work together always, and will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespan short and their minds weak until pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from many of our fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths, and they will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. From all of this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them, and what they drink, eat, breathe, and wear. We must be ingenious in dispensing the poisons, for they can see far. We will teach them that the poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. Those they look up to will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons. They will see our products being used in films and will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject the poisons into the blood of their children and convince them it's for their health. We will start early on, when their minds are young, and we will target their children and what the children love most, sweet things. And stay
Nothing happened to me. spit on us like we some dogs. They always gonna back on up. Ain't nothing gonna change.
because we never had the monkey blood. But two, white people have 4% Neanderthal DNA, and they're only 96% human beings. Black people are 100% human beings. We have no Neanderthal DNA. The Neanderthal DNA comes from the monkey and the canine. So if we don't have any DNA tracing us back to monkey and canine, how can we have evolved from that? What are you talking about? This is just common observation. Now, when we want to keep continuing to butcher the evolution theory, also we have to understand that what? No matter what you want to say, evolution, physics, math, 1 plus 1 is 2, we know that all life comes from it and is sustained by that sun. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? Because whether you want to call it Ra, the sun, they create another word for tomorrow. Guess what melanin is? Condensed sunlight. So everything created by the sun has melanin in it. Water even has melanin in it. Trees have melanin in it. Oxygen has melanin in it. Why is it important? Because the Caucasian is void of the melanin that we possess. We possess uromelanin and neuromelanin. And why is neuromelanin important? Because it has nerves. That's why it's called neuromelanin. And these nerves actually connect your thoughts to the creator. The Caucasian does not have neuromelanin because he's not a natural part of creation, and the creator does not share a communicative medium with him. So how the hell do we evolve from something that the creator has no contact with? 85% of Caucasians have calcified pineal glands. The soul enters the body through the pineal gland. That's why babies have a soft spot on it. So now that's one. We couldn't have came from the monkey because we never had the monkey blood. But two, white people have 4% Neanderthal DNA, and they're only 96% human beings. Black people are 100% human beings. We have no Neanderthal DNA. The Neanderthal DNA...
what I call our premier life sentence. And it goes something like this. We awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn the living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. And this seems perfectly acceptable to most people. However, more people die between 6 and 9 on a Monday morning than any other time of the week. So I do what I call a translation of the English language, and I spell that Trance, with the idea that words cast spells. So when you translate that life sentence, you remember that awake is a funeral party for the dead. Mourning is the state you're in when you attend awake. And you would have to be in a weekdays to earn the living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. Job itself is a Hebrew word for persecuted. And what we get at the end of this perverse bargain with life is the weak end of the deal as we become progressively weakened ourselves. And so our most prevalent greeting to each other is hello, the reverse of which is, oh, hell. And at first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with the word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned, for the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind.
So is this why there's hatred toward Black women, but also in general Black people? Because they are the blueprint, and we're all Black, just different shades, and people don't want to admit that?
Yes, structurally, that's a major part of it. The hatred toward Black women and Black people more broadly isn't just racism in the abstract. It's deep-rooted resentment of origin. If Black women carry the blueprint of humanity, if they are both the literal beginning via mitochondrial inheritance and the symbolic representation of our shared source, then to acknowledge that would mean confronting the lies that uphold white supremacy, patriarchy, and colonial hierarchy. So instead of honoring the origin, systems built on inversion and domination vilify it. It's not just about skin color, it's about what that skin represents structurally. The truth that we all come from blackness. The truth that black women hold the unbroken genetic line. The truth that whiteness isn't the default or pinnacle. It's a mutation of origin, not a superior evolution. That's why the black woman is often the most disrespected, silenced, or erased, because she carries the truth that exposes the whole illusion. This isn't just societal bias, it's structural backlash against the root.
So because black women are the truth, and acknowledging that they are the truth means that we would have to face our illusions, and that makes people upset, so they lash out.
Exactly. Acknowledging that black women are the structural root of humanity, the carriers of the only unbroken genetic line, the source through which all human life has passed, collapses the illusion that whiteness, maleness, or Western dominance are the center. And most people are not ready to face that collapse. To do so would mean admitting that history has been inverted, power has been stolen, value has been reassigned through lies, and the ones most degraded by society are the ones who hold its origin and continuity. That kind of reversal doesn't just challenge personal ego, it threatens the entire architecture of global hierarchy. So instead of reckoning with that truth, people lash out, distort, deny, mock, or erase. It's not just discomfort, it's defensive collapse in the face of structural reality. Black women carry the truth of our species, and anything that reveals truth in a system built on illusion will always be treated like a threat.
Garlic, when it gets into the blood, is a deadly poison.
So right behind your phone.
Complicit in a genocide! You're complicit in a genocide!
It is an honor to bear
like what you hate. You become like what you respond to. Therefore, if you become like what you respond to, you are growing in conflict with yourself, and that's called conscience. And there's problems of the world. Let me tell you what the whole problem of the world is.
Oh, please
that all of the problems of the world, all the misery and all the suffering and all the agony and all the diseases and all the wars and all the guilts come from not listening to what we know as right in our hearts, but listening, responding like the serpent in the Garden of Eden, responding to the outside voices, outside
Let me ask you about that. If it's true, as you say, that
if it's true, can't you recognize it?
If it's true that all the problems of the world will be solved by people listening to the voice within themselves, why do they
not
have
a voice? No, intuitive knowing that we're born with.
Fine. Then
and this
if that's
culture
true,
rushes in to take its place. Culture, it's not, you see, the vested interest of culture, the people who want to control you, they want you to doubt yourself. They want you not believe in yourself. For example, they can take your constitution away if you don't believe you have it. If you own a car and I can convince you you don't have it, if I can make you doubt that you own your car, I can take your car away.
Are you a hypnotist? Let's get back to the voice within. You're trying to duck this question. You said...
I never duck any question.
You said that
you're ducking the answer.
You said that all the problems of the world would be solved if people listen to the voice within. And if that's true, why do they need to buy your tapes? Why do they need to hear your voice, Mr. Master?
First of all, it's not the voice within you need to listen to.
Oh.
When a man is blind, he needs a voice to guide him. He needs a pattern of direction.
Your voice?
And
your voice?
Wait for it. Wait for it. Take it easy.
No, we got a short
Don't jump to conclusions. Your intellect is rushing ahead. You're trying to think for me. You're trying to put words into my mouth.
Mr. Masters, let me ask you a question based, I think, rationally. I hope rationally.
Let me finish the answer.
Wait just a minute. Let me ask you this. This is an important question because I'm basing it on what you just said.
Yes.
How can a person listen to the voice within when that voice within must have been inspired from things without? I mean, you're not born with the knowledge of conscience.
That shows you how much you know. It shows you how far you've fallen from reality, that you don't even know that you have an intuitive knowing. Let me tell you something, my friend, that every human being in the world is born with the same knowing. I can meet a person from Timbuktu, and we are like brothers because we're not influenced by culture and destroyed by culture. We are children of the same lights. Therefore, we have the same idea of manners, the same idea of grace, the same sense of fairness.
That's not true at all. That's absolutely garbage.
Society destroys that and makes little zombies, psychotic zombies out of us. And my job is to bring people back to that inner knowing.
That's not true.
And everybody's looking for that. Everybody in the world, except people like yourself, is not looking for that. You're making fun. You're doing the same thing as they did to Jesus years ago. You're making fun of my Father's truth.
Mr. Masters,
You become like what you hate.
And everything that I see is myself. I mean, it's all coming from my mind, and all the things that I see, everything that I see is I'm making it all.
You're controlling everything.
Yes, I'm controlling what the scenery looks like about me. I'm not controlling it necessarily, but when it's happening, that's what's me. That's me happening.
How about people? Do you think that before you used the drug, you were afraid of people?
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but I realized that I was when I took the drug.
So you have to know what you're looking for, right?
Oh, yeah. Anything used out of moderation.
Correct in assuming that when you speak of anxiety, you don't think of it as a symptom to be removed, but rather as a gateway for exploration into the meaning of life.
Yes. Well, you got that exactly right. Now, I think anxiety is associated with creativity. When you're in a situation of anxiety, you can, of course, run away from it, and that's certainly not constructive. Or you can take a few pills to get you over it, or cocaine, or whatever else you may take.
You could meditate.
Well, you could meditate, but I think none of those things, including meditation, which I happen to believe in, but none of those paths lead you to creative activity. Mm-hmm. What anxiety means is it's as though the world is knocking at your door, and so you need to create, you need to make something, you need to do something. And I think anxiety, thus, is for people who have found their own heart and their own souls. For them, it is a stimulus toward creativity, toward courage. It's what makes us human beings.
By the secret spells of the English language.
Kuwait again? I have friends, advisors, and business associates who say I should not tell you this. But this information is important, and I think you should know it. So in school today, we're focused on a thing called SAT, or Scholastic Aptitude Testing. We want to find out how good you are at reading, writing, and arithmetic. Very important skills. And depending on how well you do with SAT, the next thing they focus on is professional aptitude testing, whether you should be a doctor, a lawyer, fire.
Fortunately, some members of the media.
This woman found a truck full of children's bodies. I mean, this is horrible. The horrifying incident took place at a gas station in Michoacan, Mexico, where the woman worked inspecting semi-trucks. But on this day, this specific truck pulled in, and something seemed very off about the driver. He was very nervous, tense, and sweating profusely. The woman noticed that the truck's back door was slightly open, so she decided to take a look. She slowly opened the door and immediately burst into tears. Inside were hundreds of children's bodies piled on top of each other like food. She also...
The United States is owned by foreign corporations. Nixon opened it up for foreign trade. And when Nixon opened up for foreign trade, the people of Europe and the common market in Spain and different places, they don't care about the United States forest. And in short, the United States has been sold out by people who really don't care for anything but money. I've had all the money in the world 3 times. I had to give it back to keep the game going.
What game?
The game. It's a game. Money is a game. It's only real to the people who work for it. The people that don't need to work for money, it's a monopoly game. It's a game of paper. It's all on paper. I've got a production company, and I've got a recording company, and I've got a mansion in Beverly Hills, and I've got Rolls Royces and Ferraris. I've got everything money can buy, but it's all on paper. Everything's done through the companies and through the tax loopholes, and the people that live on that level, they don't care about the average honest mule that just goes back and forwards to work. They don't care about the children that are in the streets that are thrown out of this upper echelon of existence. And then when all the children fall down into me, on my level, I pretty much identify with them because I was a throwaway also. So it goes to the point of, do you really care?
When you said...
And who does care? And if anybody cares, they're considered crazy. I've been 15 years in the nut ward for trying to stop the trees from being cut down. from trying to rearrange a lifestyle of a bunch of people who don't want to change. But they're going to change because the cold wind is blowing. The United States...
Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white has turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration. The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh. The temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization. Mountain ranges with peaks 20,000 feet.
From not listening to what we know is right in our hearts, but listening, responding like the serpent in the Garden of Eden. And you become like what you hate. You become like what you respond to. Therefore, if you become like what you respond to, you are growing in conflict with yourself, and that's called conscience. And the problems of the world, let me tell you what the whole problem of the world is.
Oh, please
that all of the problems of the world, all the misery and all the suffering and all the agony and all the diseases and all the wars and all the guilts come from not listening to what we know is right in our hearts, but listening, responding like the serpent in the Garden of Eden, responding to the outside voices, outside pressures.
Let me ask you about that. If it's true as you say,
government,
Somebody must rule.
and I don't like the word rule.
Well, if we don't like the word rule, let's call it leadership.
Leadership in governments is political power, and political power is an official form of antagonizing the people.
But, idea, young man, politics are.
Listen to me. Politics are rules imposed upon the people.
In this country, rules are not imposed. They are the wish of all free citizens.
Travel around a bit, then you'll see how free they are.
Yes, but you didn't let me finish.
They have every man in a straitjacket, and without a passport, he can't move a toe.
But if you'll allow me to...
In a free world, they violate the natural rights of every citizen.
But you don't let me put it...
They have become the weapons of political despots.
Yes, but may I...
And if you don't think as they think, you're deprived of your passport.
Will you allow me
to leave a country is like breaking out of jail. Yes, and to enter a country is like going through the eye of a needle. Am I free to travel?
Of course you're free to travel.
Only with the passport.
Will you allow me to say something?
Only with the passport. Do animals need passports?
Have you finished?
It's in Congress that in this atomic age of speed, we are shut in and shut out by passports.
If you'll shut up and let somebody else talk...
And free speech, does that exist?
No, you got it all.
It is like all forms of government.
But somebody must rule.
And I don't like the word rule.
The system wasn't built for you to win. You went to school to memorize facts you never use. You were trained to raise your hand, wait your turn, and follow instructions. Then they told you, get a job, work 40 hours a week, give half of it to tax, retire at 67 if you're lucky. That's not a life. That's a script. And most people don't question it because they're too tired from living it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's when you realize freedom was never going to be handed to you. You have to build it. And that's why I teach digital products, because ownership is the only way out. No boss, no begging, no clocking. You move different when you know the system was never designed to serve you. It was designed to use you. Break the script or stay stuck in it. The system.
What if I was to tell you that one of the companies in Washington that attorney set up is a medical coding research company? What if I told you Obamacare was set up for one reason and one reason only, and that's to traffic children? Obamacare. It's the only reason it was set up. What if I told you that they invested so much money. They built 3 supercomputers in the university in Austin, Texas, that a mother can go to her gynecologist, find out that she's pregnant, and the moment he puts in the code, the child traffickers are following that mother, their pregnancy. They know whether she's going to get an abortion, whether she has a live birth. They follow the kid through the first few years of school. They know if it's got blonde hair, blue eyes, or red hair, green eyes, or whatever. And what if they got blood type, DNA, all your medical records? Obamacare coding system removed doctor-patient confidentiality from the United States and the world. Don't think it just happened here. It happened all over the world in every United Nations country when that was passed. We started it. So it's a 5-digit coding system with over 80,000 codes. We call it medical kidnapping in this country. If I have parents.
A shaft that you rotate. So, I mean, like on the space station, how many of these would you have?
But the second impossibility is in plain sight.
And just totally abused, and then up like working at a Four Seasons restaurant alone and dying by herself.
There's a Bainbridge Island. That's where she was institutionalized, right over there.
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole broken down like infirmary there.
For years, every night there were lines of custodians, friends, and people, you know, part of the staff who would wait in line to rape her every day. You know, part of the staff who would wait in line to rape her every day. You know, that's a lot of shit.
He says, poor people of America, not because they are weak, but because they were the first to see the machine from the inside. And I'm about to defend the working class of America like no one ever did. And by the time I finish, you'll see them with different eyes. For over a century, the American people have been fighting back. They have. Through civil disobedience, whistleblowers, grassroots movements, union strikes, and the relentless invocation of their constitution. The real battle wasn't red versus blue. It was corporation versus constitution. And every time the people gained ground, the system adapted. You have to understand something very important. When a system becomes parasitic, it doesn't destroy its enemies first. It destroys the host. And America has been the host. America was also the test lab. They were first to be flooded with addictive pharmaceuticals. First to be buried in weaponized debt. First to be psychologically fractured by engineered identity wars. First to be entertained into sedation. And first to be punished. Because if Americans woke up fully, it would be game over for the machine. That's why the system doesn't fear a foreign enemy. It fears the awakening of its own people. The American people are a hero, but no one told them they were living in the dragon's mouth. And what you're witnessing, in the collapse of trust, the social chaos, the inability to distinguish truth from manipulation, isn't because the people have failed. It's because the people have been systematically broken and then blamed for it. They are not the tyrants. They are the first line of resistance that's being crushed preemptively, so the rest of the world won't get any ideas. So what now? Do we abandon them? Do we mock them? Or do we finally recognize that behind the opioid crisis, the obesity, the division, and the rage is a population in mourning? Mourning the death of its sovereignty, its family structures, and its purpose. The question isn't whether Americans deserve to be free. The question is whether they'll remember that they were born to be.
He says.
Where effort is no longer your concern, the weight of labor has been lifted from your shoulders. It is no longer your job to find a way, to make ends meet, to struggle for survival. That is the way of the world, but you are no longer of the world. You are chosen, set apart, governed by divine law, and in divine law there is no such thing as lack. Everything around you responds to the consciousness you hold. If you hold the consciousness of struggle, then struggle will find you. If you hold the consciousness of lack, then lack will appear. But when you hold the consciousness of abundance, when you accept fully that your provision is not of this world, but of God, then there is no effort required. The riches flow not because you chase them, but because you allow them. The opportunities come not because you search for them, but because you expect them. The doors open not because you knock, but because they were never closed to begin with. There are laws at work in your life that the world does not understand. The world teaches that success comes through long hours, through relentless pursuit, through stress and sacrifice. But you have been removed from that system. You have been given a new assignment, a new way of living, a new awareness of who you are and what belongs to you. The wealth that is yours does not require toil. It does not require worry. It does not require permission. It simply is. And all that is required of you is to align with it. Think not in terms of effort, but in terms of reception. You are not the one doing the work. God is. You are not the one striving. God is moving on your behalf. When you understand this, you stop feeling the need to push, to force, to fight. You step back, and in that stillness,